With this section, we are going to be looking at the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This is the only online lecture that I require. After this, hopefully you'll have a really good idea if these lecture videos help you as I talk through it. I know you can't see me. The software we use doesn't allow recorded webcams to appear, but you will be able to see where I'm at and as I talk through some of the examples. If these examples, if watching and hearing this doesn't help, then you can ignore all the rest of the videos in this class, but hopefully you'll find that they do, and this will give you a taste and a sense of being in the classroom. So with the Affordable Care Act and the Obamacare, what this law did back when it started up and the mandate started in 2014, is it prohibited any insurers, any insurance companies from denying coverage or to charge higher premiums to any of its clients because of any pre-existing conditions. Therefore, because if someone had cancer, the insurance company may not cover them at all, or if they did, they would charge them an exceedingly high premium rate due to the expected high cost that was going to go associated along with their condition. So in order to have everyone on the same level playing field, getting the same premiums, what the insurance companies then demanded is says, okay, we won't charge extra, but only if every single person in the United States also carries insurance. Or if they don't, they have to pay us a premium. They have to pay us a penalty to help offset those extra costs that we know we're going to incur for those with pre-existing conditions, or those who get a medical bill or a medical diagnosis. With everyone having to buy into the insurance companies would then collect enough money to pay off the high costs for those that have an expensive condition. So in a way, it's kind of a penalty for those who are healthy. They are having to pay in money to help cover those who are unhealthy in a sense. So also what this Obamacare established was a marketplace, which is where you would have to go if you want to qualify for the premiums that are available based on your income level and household size. But you can only get these through the marketplace. You would want to, if you are ever interested, you just go into the Google and then search for the health insurance marketplace. You can get more information there, different companies and plans that you are eligible for, and that's where you have to go if you want to get these premiums that we're going to talk about and how to calculate it. And we're also going to look at if you qualify for an exemption to not have the health insurance and also not have to pay a penalty. So the ACA, they call it an individual shared responsibility provision, meaning you have insurance or you pay a penalty. They say it a little nicer than that, but that's what it is. So if the basic rules here, if everybody in your household had insurance, maybe through the employer, then you don't have to do anything except check a little box on the back side of the 1040 that you file every year. So it's on the back side or page 2. You just check box that we had insurance all year. If you did not, you have to do a couple extra forms that says this person either A, did not have insurance for the entire year or some of the year, or all of the family didn't have insurance for the entire year, just whatever your situation is. Or the third option is we didn't have insurance, but we are eligible to claim an exemption from the penalty and having the insurance. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes when we look at a couple of examples. But what I wanted to first do is show you when it started out the mandate in 2014, the penalty wasn't that much. They wanted to start it out small, so those who were unaware of it didn't have to suffer a huge burden if they didn't have insurance. But notice what the rule was, 1%, and it's the greater of these two amounts. So when we look at these two amounts, it's the greater of. 1% of your household income, and we'll look at that, what that means in just a second. 1% of your household income less your filing threshold. Now your filing threshold is going to change every year, and that's something that we learn in tax class. But basically that is your standard deduction plus your personal exemptions. You get to take that off, and that's going to tell us, and I have a listing further down of what the filing thresholds are for at least the year 2017. You can, I want to make note at this is a good point to make note, even if you are watching this beyond 2017, because I do not update it every semester, you can still use this video. It's just make sure you have the most updated copy of my notes, where I'll have any updates that you need, but you can still follow the same formula that we go through. But going back to the penalty amount, 1% of your household income, so say you made $50,000, then you get to subtract out that threshold. For example, filing single would be, you get to subtract out $10,400. What then happens is you take whatever that number is, that 1% of whatever that number is, and then you use the greater of that number, or add up $95 per adult that you have on your return plus $47.50 per kid that is under the age of 18 on your return. And then no more, don't put any more on your return than $285. For 2015, notice how much that amount increased. It went up more than 3 times. They're thinking you should have known about it by this point. So $285 all the way up to a family max now of $975. And now for the 2016 and beyond, so that's going to include us for this video for any years going up, the threshold now is up to $2,085. And that number will fluctuate and go up a little bit due to inflation. But for the years 2016 and 2017, this is what we will be using. So again, now it's up to 2.5% of your household income less that filing threshold, or compared to $695 per adult, up to $2,085 max. And so you have to have, what this next little part basically says is, anybody that you claim on your return, say you claim your brother lives with you, and you claim your brother, you would have to have insurance on your brother, or your brother would have to have insurance. If he doesn't, you would have to pay a penalty for claiming him, but not him not having insurance. If you do not want to have to pay the penalty for that individual, then you simply just would not claim them on your tax return, which may hurt your refund in the long run. So then we ask, well, what does your income include? Income includes all your household income plus that you have on household income that you have on your 1040, plus things that are like Social Security that don't necessarily get taxed. For example, if you're, and we see this a lot when we go into our tax class, especially when we look at it in the fall semester for those going into it, or any semester that you go into it, you're going to find that Social Security is tax exempt, or a lot of it is. Not all of it, but a lot of it could be. And you may have brought in $18,000 in Social Security benefits but not be taxed on any of it. Well, in this one, it does include those $18,000, even if it wasn't taxed. It doesn't include that as part of your household income. And it also includes any tax-exempt interest that you may have received, such as municipal bonds. And third, your household income would include anybody else in your house that you claimed as a dependent that filed a return, all of their income as well. So that's going to kind of hurt a little bit. It's going to make your premiums possibly higher. So I wanted to do an example, just simply the first part of this example, because we're going to break it down further in a little bit. But the first part of this example is simply to know how much would this person's penalty be. And I give us some extra information because we're going to use the same example further down to figure out other items. But for right now, we're just going to concentrate on figuring out the penalty. So this single individual has $40,000 income. His name's Jim. He's unmarried with no dependents, so therefore he's filing single. He did not have minimal essential coverage for any month during 2017. Household income for Jim was that $40,000 that we talked about. I also go ahead and give us the filing threshold, since I would not expect you to know that for this class. This part is extra information for right now. We'll come to that later. So to determine what is Jim's payment. So let's go back up here. 2.5%, because we're in the year 2016 and beyond, 2.5% of his household income less the filing threshold. Okay, so his income was $40,000, less the filing threshold for being single was $10,400. So when you do that simple math, you get $29,600. $29,600 times 2.5%. When you do that, I come up with $740. And then we have to do the greater of that 740 or $695 per adult. So that's him, $695. And when you compare, the 740 is higher, so that's what we would use. He would have to pay a penalty of $740 for that year's insurance. Now, if he had insurance for, say, 6 of those months, well, then he would cut that in half. You're going to take a percentage of the yearly amount depending on how much you had insurance for that year. So if you had insurance for only 3 months, you would figure up, well, what is my monthly amount of penalty? And then times that by the 9 months that you didn't have insurance. There's other ways of doing it, but that is just one of the options. Okay, so let's look at this second example. And this one you're going to do on your own to practice, and then I'll show the answers here in just a few seconds. So we have a married couple, 2 kids. They have $70,000 in income. I give us their ages. Again, that's not important right now. It will be in a little bit. All we really need to know is that they have 2 kids, 2 adults, total household income of $70,000. This is also going to be important, the filing threshold. And I think I need to update that. Yeah, that should be $20,800. Update that. Should be updated when you see yours already. The $20,800 is their filing threshold. Now, go through and figure up how much should their penalty be if no one had insurance. If you haven't hit pause yet, go ahead and do so right before I look at the answers here. So when you have this example, we subtract the $70,000 from the filing threshold of $20,800. They have income that we're going to look at $49,200 times that 2.5%. When you do that, you get, this should be $1,230. Then you got to compare that to the flat dollar amount, which is $695 per adult. So times 2, $347 times 2 because there's 2 kids. And then you get $2,085. We're going to take the greater of the 2, $1,230 or the $2,085. So therefore the penalty for this couple on their tax return is $2,085 of a shared responsibility payment, which is quite a bit. So now we're going to come down to the section where we're going to determine, well, do I have to pay the insurance and the penalty because I don't make a lot of money? It's considered unaffordable. So what I want us to do here is we're going to determine, do we have unaffordable coverage? And so to do that, we have to do certain things. We have to do basically 3 steps. The first step to determine if you have unaffordable coverage is we need to determine 2 dollar amounts. We're going to go to this site right here, and we're going to look up what is the lowest cost of the bronze plan. It'll give it to us once we fill in the specifics, and our second lowest cost for the silver plan. We're going to use that then, and our information of how much we earn and how big our head household is, to determine if we get any credits, if we're eligible for any premium tax credits to get our premium of our health insurance down. Finally, what we're going to do then is determine, do we have to have insurance or not? All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is copy and paste this link. So copy and paste it, and you're going to open up the screen that will look like this. And we're going to click over here to the right side. We're going to first determine what our silver plan and bronze plan costs would be. So let's go ahead and click Get Started. And as you're watching this, I would be doing this off to the side, maybe pausing the video, because it doesn't mean much if you're just watching this, but if you actually do it, it actually will start to sink in a little bit better. So we're looking at the year 2016. Let's go ahead and do the Get Started. Now we're back to our first example. If we go back here to my overview, we're using the Jim example again. 40,000 income. Jim is age 40, so we just got to do a little bit of math. Let's always use, when it asks for a date of birth, let's always use July 1. And then let's just go back 40 years. So let's use the year 1977, because we are, right now when this video is being recorded, it is in the year 2017. So you can kind of base it off that. This would make the person about 40. They may be 39 or 41, depending on exactly when their birthday hits. But I also tell us in this problem that the individual does not use tobacco, right here at towards the bottom of the information. So we don't need to check that for this one. This screen basically asks us, select the months that your family member was eligible for coverage or had coverage. We didn't have any. And this one says if we had the marketplace, we didn't have any insurance, so we're just going to click OK through that 2 times. Now this is where it comes to be important where we live, because the insurance differs based on where you're at. So we live in Madison County, Indiana, which is 46013. So you can't just type it in and then click. You have to actually choose the county, because there could be more than one county pop up. So we'll click that, and we did live here the entire year. And this first one says, do you have any other people in your family? On this example, we're going to put no, because we don't. It's just us. This is just a summary page. As long as you put everything in right, we can click through it. And this last page here basically tells us how much of a premium we could expect based on the higher plans out there. And the higher plans, our lowest bronze plan, which has a nice health care plan with it, it's going to cost this single individual $226 a month. The even better plan is going to cost $287 a month. Now we want to have those answers and actually put them in, because that's going to be important for the next couple pieces. So that answers our question here for the URL thing that I had up there at first, to get our lowest cost for the bronze or the silver plan. Now we want to figure out, all right, if it's going to cost me, say I want to use the bronze, the 226, am I eligible for any kind of a cut, of a premium tax credit based on that and based on my income? So we come up here to our second URL. You're going to copy and paste this. And when we get down there towards the bottom part of when we're filling in this information, it's going to ask us, what is your benchmark premium for the silver plan? And we're going to put in what we had for this answer up here. And then for the second box, it says, well, what are you actually paying? And then we're going to always assume that we are using the bronze plan. So we're going to put in the bronze amount. Otherwise, I'd have to give it to you per person. So let's go to the sheet here. This is what you will pull up when you put in that second URL. This is what it should look like. So let's get started. We're in the year 2017. Now it says your estimated monthly household income you submitted on your marketplace application. Okay, so let's do the math here. 40,000 that the individual makes divided by 12. So our monthly income is $3,333.33. Family size, yep, just one. And that one individual is 40 years old. We are filing single in the state of Indiana and in Madison County. Enter your monthly premiums. It gives you a good guess, and it's actually pretty accurate. They think it's $298. When we did it, remember we got something slightly different. We got $280 something. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, it was $287. $287. So let's go ahead and put in what we got, $287. I'm just rounding to the nearest dollar there. I don't even know if I make sure I rounded right. $287, yeah. And then the next line down, it says, what was your actual premiums? Let's use the bronze number, which was $226. And let's pretend we didn't have any premium tax credits yet offered to us, so we're just going to leave that blank. Click Next. We didn't have any changes. Click Next again. This tells us that based on our income level and our family size, we do not qualify for any type of a monthly premium discount off of that $220-some monthly insurance. We have to pay that amount. So I can come down to my second part. Do I qualify for premiums? Unfortunately, no. Now I'm ready for the third URL. What is the monthly threshold to be unaffordable? Well, let's check it out. So we are paying the $220 something. And let's go to this third one here to determine if it is unaffordable. So I'm going to highlight this. Let's create, I'm going to move this out of the way. Let's create a new sheet. All right, let's get started. Now we have everything to determine if our insurance is unaffordable. Let's go to year 2017. Remember, we are in zip code 46013, Madison County. Which of the following describes your health coverage? We're going to go to the third option for this guy because he didn't have any insurance for any of the year. Now, this is where I tell you, if you go back up to my third link here, after you enter into your zip code and then you answer that question about insurance, we can skip 10 times, hit the skip button, because the questions don't really apply to us. There's going to be a lot of weird things that, so let's go 1. I think it's 10. It may be slightly less. 2, 3, 4. And you can read through these if you want, but most of them will not apply. I think this is 6, maybe 7, 8, 9. All right, maybe it was 9 times, so I was close. Do you want to answer the income about your household? Yes. Let's go ahead and do that. Sure, show me your household questions. We are filing single. How old will we be on the last day? Let's just assume we're 40 years old. What is your household income? Remember we did 40,000. How many people are in your household in 2017? No, there's just the one of us. Do you have a offer of a job-based insurance? No, we did not. And here we go. Is the premium for the lowest cost bronze level, that's the one we're using anyway, 220 something, is it less after, so you take that 222 after subtracting any premium tax credits that we qualified for? Remember, we didn't qualify for any. Is the lowest cost of the bronze level more than the 272? Remember, it was only 220 something, so no, it is not more. We would click no. It says, sorry, it looks like no exemptions apply to our situation. I'm going to go back here to get that number. It was 272. That was the threshold. And that's one of the answers that I want you to put in as you're answering these questions here. What is the monthly threshold to be unaffordable? It was 272 for the bronze. Ours only cost 226 minus nothing because we didn't get any premiums, but that is still less than the 272. So the insurance is unaffordable? No, it is not. It is considered affordable. So what I want you to do now is I want you to do the same thing for the second example we looked at with the two married couple. Married filing joint, ages 45 and 43. So for the year 2017, we're going to use a birth date, if it asks for that, of 1972 will work, and this one would be 1974. For the two kids under 8, it doesn't really matter. Just pick something in the late, like 2008 and 2010 or something. Just as long as they're under 18, it doesn't really matter the exact age. I give you the filing threshold for married filing joint. Again, that should be $20,800. But you actually won't need that. The program will do that for us on this one. This is the only difference here. Edward and Juliet both do use tobacco, so make sure you include that into your answers. All right, at this point, go ahead and click pause. Go through this just like what we did before, and in a few seconds here, I will go through the answers. Okay, if you haven't clicked pause yet, please do, because I want you to be able to work through these. That's the only way you're going to learn it. But here are the first answers that you should have got. I'm not going to go through everything. I'll go through it on the next one. Again, when the children were born, I just put in these dates here, but you could have put in really any date like 2006, 2008, 2008, 2010. It would have been fine as long as you are under the age of 18. With the family of 4, it looked like the premium was for the bronze $774. If you're within a few dollars either way, don't worry about it. That's okay. Second plan, $832. When you then go to the second website, the second URL, and you put in all that information. Now, if you did it right, this one would have taken you a little while to do, because when you have to put in 4 different people, and you have to put in where they live, the zip code, and just their birth date, it just takes a little extra time, a little longer than it did on the first example. This one doesn't take you as long. We're going to put in their dates. We're going to put in the 832 for their benchmark. We're going to put in that they pay $774 a month. Do they get a premium tax credit? Yes, they do. So of the $774, that the actual premium amount, they can take $364 off of that $774. That's how much they would actually have to pay. So that takes us to our last the third URL. And then when you go through and calculate it, it says the unaffordable amount would be $474 per month. $474 is not more than what we actually pay. Remember, we pay the $774 minus the premium that we get. So we actually only pay $410. So this insurance is unaffordable. The answer would be no. All right, let's look at this last one. Judy files single. Part-time income of $17,000. Deceased husband's Social Security is $12,000. Remember, that would not be considered taxable for the tax when you're actually doing the tax return. She is not a tobacco user. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and pause. And when you get your answers, we'll start it back up here, and I'll show you the answers in just a couple seconds. Okay, with Judy being age 60, and remember I said the premiums do start to drastically go up the older you get. So her premiums, even though she's single, are all the way up for that bronze plan, $462. That's quite high. Second lowest silver plan, $587. Does she qualify for any tax credits? Absolutely. Almost all of it. Remember, we're going to go with the 462 plan. She's going to get $431 taken off of that. So she is only responsible for a $31 medical premium payment. What's the threshold to be unaffordable? $474. She only pays just under $32, so definitely is it unaffordable? Definitely not. It is considered affordable. That's the most difficult part of this entire example of everything that we're going to do with this section. The rest of it is just kind of some more miscellaneous facts, things to know, some interesting things to think about. So that was one of the exemptions, or one of the tests to see if you get to be exempt from getting health care. A couple of the other more common ones, short coverage gap. This one is if you get laid off, but then you get another job that has insurance within 3 months. Even though for, say, 2.5 months you didn't have insurance, you don't have to pay a penalty there. That is considered an acceptable exemption. This one, if you don't have to file a tax return because you made less than that threshold, say you were single and you had taxable income of less than $10,400, you do not have to have health insurance. You are considered exempt. This is the most weird one to me. This was actually on our VITA test. And you are considered exempt if you are not a U.S. citizen and not living lawfully in the U.S. So if you're breaking the rule and not living in the U.S. Lawfully, you are considered okay to not have insurance, which I think is very odd, because if they would get sick or injured, the hospital would have to see them. So that was not a good thing. Okay, so down here, remember one of the things was you had to have minimal essential coverage. Really any type of job insurance that you get is going to be minimal essential. Any type of insurance you get through the marketplace is going to definitely meet that minimal essential coverage. There's only a few items that don't meet the minimal essential coverage, and you just want to make sure that yours isn't on here. One would be if you only have dental and vision insurance. That would not be considered minimal, because that doesn't include any, we didn't consider any medical. You can read through the rest of these. These are probably not all that common, but I thought it was interesting to see what they are. If you do get the marketplace insurance, every year you will get a Form 1095A, kind of a recap of what the premium that you would have paid if you had nothing, no tax credits, and then it tells you what the tax credit you got, and then the net amount, how much you actually paid. And then when you file your tax return, it's going to go through and make sure, did you estimate your income correctly? Because remember, it's just an estimate when you put in the amount of what you think you're going to earn. And if you actually earn more, well, then your tax credit's going to be less. So you're going to have to pay some of that back. If you made less than you estimated, you may actually get more back on your return because you were paying too much in monthly premiums. Again, the only way to determine that premium is if you get your insurance through the marketplace. If you get it through your job or you get it through your own insurance company, you don't qualify for this premium tax credit. And the people who are eligible for the tax credit is anybody who is at least 100% of the poverty level, but not more than 400%. Just because you're in that range doesn't mean you're going to get it, but it's definitely a possibility. So what I'm going to show you in just a little bit is a chart that actually gives us, well, what is the poverty level if there's just one person in the family, or 2, or 3, or 4, all the way up to about 8 people living in the household that you claim on your tax return, and how much money is it considered to be at the poverty level, even up to 400% of the poverty level. We've already kind of talked about how does the taxpayer get the premium tax credit. You actually have to go through the marketplace, and the marketplace will judge how much that will be and then either take it off of your premiums monthly or give it to you in one big lump sum when you file your tax return. It's the best to go ahead and just take it monthly. A couple other items that the poverty levels are used for. One, it can determine if you are eligible for Medicaid. It's going to tell you Medicaid is usually at about the 130, I have it down below, 130 some percentile of poverty. So again, the 400% is for possibly getting a medical premium credits. If you're below 250%, you'll get better insurance rates in that you'll get better deductibles, possibly better co-payments, lower maximum out of pocket if you meet that threshold. And then again, here's the Medicaid threshold. You can't just sign up whenever you want for the Obamacare. You have to, it has to be during an open enrollment, and usually that open enrollment is the last part of November through December. Not always all of December, but at least part of December. Usually you have about 4 weeks every year to open enrollment. So if nothing weird happened and you just decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get insurance, you can do that. However, if you are laid off or you have some other type of special event happen, you get married, you lose your health care because you got laid off, you can enroll at any time. They do give you that special enrollment option. The last thing that I wanted to to show you here is that poverty guideline. And this is for 2016. It's going to go up a little bit in the future years. But this is the most recent thing I had. If you have a family of one, it's considered poverty if you have household income of $11,880. And then you can see all the way up 400% then of that 11,880 would be 47,520. So if you make less than 47,520, you are eligible to at least see if you can get a little bit of a tax credit, premium tax credit. All the way up, let's look at a family of four. Family of four, poverty line is considered 24,300. The Medicaid line, 33,000 if you make less than 33,000. All the way up to 97,400%. You can still get some premium tax credit. The last thing I wanted to show is the employer's responsibility. If an employer has 50 or more full-time employees, through this new Affordable Care Act, they are required to offer insurance. To offer insurance that is affordable. To be affordable, it has to be, and you can see, you can read through here, if employees' share of the premium would cost the employee more than 9.5% of the poverty level. So you would figure up whatever you're at, family size-wise, if we were at 4 people, 9.5%, or they don't offer the minimum standard. But again, they usually have to at this point. If you have under than 50 employees, you don't have to offer it, but you do get certain credits if you do offer it as the employer. One of the things also, I think this is under the age of 27. I might have to check on this one, but it did expand to you can still keep your kids on your health insurance. I've got here under the age of 26, but I think it's under the age of 27. I think you can still be 26. I'm going to go ahead and change that if I remember correctly. I think that's about it. Oh, the last thing here, even though the larger employers are required to make it affordable health coverage for you, that is just you. They do not have to make it affordable if you add on a spouse or a dependent. That they do not put the bear on the employer. So with that, I hope that you got something out of this one. this is going to be a very typical where we go through some answers and some problems in the future of what our lecture videos will be like. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Email me. Let me know in your after you take the quiz. I hope it did help. Thanks.